Hi, I'm Mary Hunter. I'm very happy and really excited to have with us this afternoon Adia Joelle. I've known Adia, I hate to say it, but over 10 years. Right? We started out together in Santa Monica. We did for Colored Girls. We did one show for Colored Girls, and they canceled us. I don't know. But we've been friends ever since, and I'm just going to read her bio for you because you're in for a real treat. Adia Joelle. As a child of two professional actors, singers, and dancers, it was only natural for Adia Joelle to follow in their footsteps. She was born to perform. An alumnus of Guildford Conservatoire in England, she studied musical theater for 3 years. And while in England, she had the incredible opportunity to work with British directors Paul Brennan and Jay Villers on Women Beware Women and Much Ado About Nothing. Thrilled to be back home in Los Angeles, Adia has been fortunate enough to continue her career on stage, on television, and in film, including the award-winning independent film Amnesia. Her passion for storytelling has grown, and she's expanding her creative horizons, boldly stepping into the role of director, producer, and writer on her own projects. A documentary film, To Her Own Rhythm, which is about her parents, and short films, the drama series, DRAMA, Act 1 and Act 2. There are more projects in development, and Adia is enjoying every moment of this creative journey. So please give a warm welcome to Adia Joelle.
Growing up, I thought I had a normal childhood. I mean, what's not normal about going to private school with the offspring of music royalty like the Poyer sisters or the Jacksons, or being checked out of school to go to work for my mom? Of course, my mom was working at Paramount and CBS Studios at the time. Have you ever seen your name in a Broadway playbill? Or from a letter from the White House? Just a little I love you note from Daddy. That was my childhood. Boring, right? Okay, I don't want to waste your time. I just want to share some of my favorite moments growing up with my parents. I used to get asked, what's it like? Normal, ordinary, I don't know. What was it like growing up with you and your family? You know what I mean. What's it like knowing famous people? Do you have their number? Could you call them right now? Look, before I get into how to make phone calls, let me start at the beginning. My mom and dad grew up in Queens, New York. They met when they were 3 years old. They went to school, dance school together. Pretty crazy, right? They met at Bernice Johnson's School of Dance, established in 1948. Bernice Johnson, affectionately called BJ, was the foundation for my parents' and extended family's careers. If it wasn't for her and her school, the world would have a different image of artists like Lionel Richie, Lola Falana, Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, Sylvie Vartan, and Pat Benatar. BJ had a world of knowledge that wasn't always sugar-coated. She cared even though it was through tough love. This compact diva taught and instilled her passions into these bite-sized wannabes. She taught them meaningful lessons like today a peacock, tomorrow a feather duster. Or, if you take a step up a ladder, turn around, help your classmate up a step. My family turned those lessons into life practices. The practices turned into careers, professional careers, which led them to work as dancers, choreographers, and actors on Broadway, in film, and on TV. Frances Morgan, Mom. Born in Pass Christian, Mississippi. I shan't say the year in fear of her wrath. This little Creole firecracker had hot, fast feet and a photocopy mind when it came to dance steps. Her memory for movement later helped her as both an assistant choreographer and a choreographer for Otis Louise, Michael Peters, and Debbie Allen. Though she was small, a mere 5'1", and not so flexible, she was mighty and could keep up with the best. Upon completing her education at the High School of Performing Arts, she got her professional start in the original Broadway cast of The Wiz, starring Stephanie Mills, Hinton Battle, and Andre DeShields. When she moved on from that show, she made her way to LA, where she danced in the film version of The Wiz. Then she went back to PA in the first season of Fame with Debbie Allen. Eventually, Mom settled in Los Angeles and started working in TV, primarily on variety and award shows. She worked and danced on the Jerry Lewis Telethon. She tap danced with Sammy Davis Jr. and danced with Lola Falana and with my godfather, Michael Peters.
Don't ever come out, don't ever come
Daddy. He was the youngest of 4 brothers born in Queens, New York. This charming, travel-hungry, Francophile, class clown had big ambitions and wouldn't stop until he achieved his goals. He wanted to be more than a dancer. He wanted to sing. But when it came to dancing, that man could dance. After graduating from the Performing Arts High School, he and his best friend, another godfather, Bruce Heath, stepped out on faith and moved to LA. They did have familiar connections in Lorraine Fields, one of my many godmothers, and her BFF, Michelle Simmons, both whom had graduated PA the year before. These 2 phenomenally talented, statuesque mahogany goddesses were already working professionally, and their experience and knowledge would help both my father and godfather stay focused. These 2 jumped right into working professionally. Their careers skyrocketed. Both were able to buy houses in LA and to send money home to their moms still living in New York. My dad worked on many amazing jobs, such as, I had better time before, Bunny Lady, and the best little whorehouse in Texas, the Aggie Song. Now, I don't know about you, but it's interesting to see my dad's butt on the screen. I bet he was the first one to volunteer for duties. Dad also danced on 2 of Michael Jackson's music videos, Eat It and the iconic Thriller.
Now we are now at that point of the day where we throw away all the technical rehearsal, all the cleanup. Now we're gonna work on character, right? Because what I see now is, everybody thinking, okay? The computer, let it rest. Let's see a little performance.
Soon after, an opportunity came that would bring all his passions together. He was the lead dancer who sang with the French Anne Margaret Sylvie Vartan during her 1977 European, Asian, and African tour.
No, you never get away, no, you never get away from the burning and the heartache. No, you never get away, no, you never get away from the burning and the heartache. Girl, he lies to come in bed, a hot girl. He lies to come in bed, a hot girl. He lies to come in bed, a hot girl. Your heart. He lies to come in bed, a hot, hide it. Hide it, he lies to come in bed, a hot, hide it. Hide it, he lies to come in bed, a hot, hide it. Hide it, he lies to come in bed, a hot, hide it. Hide it, he lies to come in bed, a hot.
The handsome man that flanks the other side of Sylvie is my Uncle Peter Newton. Together, these 2 got to strut their stuff dancing for the Cap Halloween tribute. In the middle of all this, they made time to date, get engaged, and marry. They had a beautiful wedding in the hills of Burbank. And a year later, they had me. And the real fun started. My father's career grew as he went on to have a supporting role in Bob Fosse's final Broadway show, Big Deal. He played two characters, Kokomo and Dancing Dan the Safecracking Man, and was knighted with the covenant song, Me and My Shadow. As Dancing Dan, he was accompanied by his two shadows, Valerie Pettiford and Barbara Yeager. Big Deal closed a mere 69 shows later, and Dad decided to make a sacrifice and put his dancing shoes away. He got a 9-to-5 job that provided health benefits for his family. The sacrifice was not in vain, as he was diagnosed with terminal illness a short time later. My mother and I were so fortunate that he put us in our futures first, even when it meant never dancing again. After my father died, there were still three. My grandfather, just kidding. My grandfather, wouldn't that be cool? My grandfather, James Morgan, moved in with us. He was there to help my mom with me and to help me also. As the only source of income, Mom couldn't afford to stop working. She continued to work as a dancer and as an assistant choreographer. During this time, she worked on Disney's Polly Coming Home, A Different World, The Oscars, School Days, Sister Sister, and the best part is that she never stopped using her talents. Along with Leah Bass, she founded Radiance Dance for our church. And she also got to achieve one of her main goals, which was starring in a film along with Lorraine Fields, entitled Harlem Shake.
You always say Dion got hers. What? Dion did this, Dion did that. What did Dion do?
Okay, this is what Dion did. 5 years ago, Dion and I were roommates. Did you know that? Both out here aspiring to be dancers. Just excited, young, innocent, naive. At least I thought we were. We were both out there, both seeking, both wanting it, both desiring it. And then I thought we both trusted each other. And one day my agent called me to give me an audition. And I wasn't there. And my dear friend did not try to find me to call me. It was the biggest audition I've ever had. Guess who went to the audition? Guess who got the gig? And guess who's dancing in the club now?
And when she completed her stint on Sister Sister, she began teaching dance at the Crenshaw High School. She taught until she had to stop. The doctors gave her 6 months to live. Surrounded by a room full of her friends and loved ones, my mom took her final breath. The final one. If you put together my parents' resume credits, accolades, awards, it's a lot to live up to. It's been really difficult walking my own path. Not everyone knows what their path is right away. It could take some time. Maybe that's why I was the oldest person in my year at Performing Arts High School in England. I mean, I knew I always wanted to perform. I knew I wanted to be in the industry, just not as a dancer. I wanted my journey to be my own. Don't get me wrong, I had fun. I got to meet so many interesting and famous people. I remember during the rehearsals of the Oscars, I got to speak French with Celine Dion. As a kid, my godfather would host parties, and who was on the guest list? Brooke Shields. I was an extra on one of my favorite episodes of A Different World, Save the Best for Last, Part 2, The Wedding. I was in the presence of film and TV royalty, otherwise known as Diane Carroll. I met some of my favorite all-time voice actors, from Beauty and the Beast, Paige O'Hara, Jesse Corti, Richard White, and Jerry Orbach. From The Lion King, Lego M, and Ernie Sabala. I was there when my friend Nina was painted gold so she could perform on stage with Broadway legend Lea Salonga as she sang A Whole New World. My childcare was the rehearsal of whatever production my mom and dad were working on. My teachers were the actors, producers, choreographers, and dancers I grew up with. My family are the performers, actors, dancers, directors, on stage, in TV, and on film. But all that was normal for me. That was the world I was born into. This world was my inspiration. But even with my colorful childhood, there was some not so positive residual side effects. To this day, I long for recognition. Recently, a friend and I took a dance class taught by an old friend of my parents. When the class was done, my friend and I went to go thank the teacher for an amazing session. The teacher, also a colleague of my parents, told my friend how amazing her dancing was. However, when it came time to talk to me, my comments I received were not about the execution of the dance, but rather about how much she missed my parents. I was invisible. I get it. I miss them too. But I'm still here. It makes me feel like I don't have my own presence and I'm only worthy of my parents' memory and not my own continuance. Sure, there are benefits of growing up in a family of entertainers, but when I felt the drive to join the ranks, I second-guessed myself. Should I really move forward? Enough. I am happy to report that I've had the opportunity to work in the industry, and though it's not yet my main source of income, it's still one of my main sources of joy in my life. I have finished 3 years of musical theater in England, and coming back to LA, I booked my first musical, Beauty and the Beast, which was my mom's favorite show and movie. I've worked on stage, in TV, and film. I've also worked in music videos and as a model. When I performed, there was something that made me feel connected to my mother again, and I wanted to know more about the woman. So I connected with her friends and family to get to know her. Then I decided to make a movie entitled To Her Own Rhythm, which won an award. One of my favorite moments of the film was taken from my mom's memorial service. Gregory Hines performed a tap routine called Francis Wouldn't Worry.
And Frances figured very prominently in my life in many ways. Certainly, the basic way in which she touched all of us by her way, by a beautiful way. But I met her through Michael Peters. We were doing this show together. Michael was the choreographer, and he had this idea for a big number that ended with me dancing with a woman and doing a lot of, Michael showed me what he wanted me to do. And I said, I can't do it. I can't dance that way, I don't know how to partner anybody. He said, well, don't worry about it. He says, you're going to do it with Frances. So I said, all right. So I had already met Frances, and hit on Frances.
Wanting to fulfill both desires, I began writing, directing, producing, and acting in these films. My goals haven't ended there. I am working hard to create content in which strong women are featured. The journey so far has been most satisfying and surprising. But I'm just getting started. Thank you.
Taking some questions, if there are questions from the audience about your journey, about your acting career, anything about your parents.
I answered everyone's question.
You're brilliant.
Thank you.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh.
Sorry. So So I know that you're writing, you're doing film, and you're acting and performing. What's your favorite?
I think right now it's creating. I had the opportunity at the beginning of July, Disney was asking for new content because they have a streaming service going on that I think it starts next month or in a couple months. And they wanted content and directors, and I had an idea that I've had since 2015. It's like a fantasy, adventure, course starring a woman type play, or actually it was going to be a mini-series in my mind, but I never wanted to write the whole thing. But per Disney's request, they only wanted a 19-page script, a lookbook, and a little blurb about yourself. So it's like 19 pages, that's easy, I got that, I could do that. So I was able to put all that together, and that excitement of actually creating a concept and then putting the look together of what I envisioned it to be and then submitting it just was the most fulfilling thing I ever got to experience. And now I'm going to do that for another piece that I'm working on, even though I don't need to submit it to anything, but at least I know that I've done the process and I've done the work, so that is actually super exciting for me.
How has, well, okay, now I got jumped up into I just lost my mom earlier this year, and I'm an old woman now. So I wanted to know how it affected you growing up to lose your parents when you were so young.
So for my dad, I remember that I didn't know he was sick at the time. I think I was 7 when he passed on. So to me, okay, so he's in a wheelchair, whatever. He's still doing what he needs to do. He was my tooth fairy. I remember waking up, him taking my tooth out and putting money in. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, don't go back to sleep. And then he rolls out in his wheelchair. And then the next thing I knew, my grandmother was in town visiting. Okay, family, that's cool. I love my grandmother. But then when my mom told me, it was completely devastated. I think I cried for a month straight, in school, at home, everywhere. But for my mom, it was different. I was older, and I got to see her decline. And as you can see, she's really, bubbly and energetic. And to see her body change, her color and her skin change, the loss of her hair. But she was so determined that she was going to fight this. And I remember when she was in the hospital, and even to her very last breath, it was always about me. It was something like, oh, tell Adia not to get the cookies off the fridge, something weird like that. But I think I was okay with that because I got to see that she was better off instead of suffering. And I didn't cry for her. Even at her memorial service, I got to read a poem. But I wasn't affected emotionally. I mean, of course you're affected, but I didn't emote. And it took a while. I had to go to grief counseling, and this has been very cathartic too. I've rehearsed this so many times and this didn't happen. But I think it's a blessing because now I get to, luckily, I'm fortunate both my parents were in the industry. I've got video footage, I've got photos. I know I'm lucky, but I've enjoyed them. I get to experience them, but I also get to live my life and know that I wouldn't want to go through that pain again. So I'm happy it's done. I know that sounds horrible, but I'm really happy that I got to experience them for the time that I did.
Are you an only child?
I am. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I had a sibling because then, I'd have somebody to bounce it off of. But then I'm a little selfish. I like being in the spotlight. I didn't want to share it.
Anything else for Adia?
Thank you.
Did your parents ever talk to
found it on YouTube, and it's talking about dancers. I think it was taken in the 80s, and my mom was being interviewed about being in the industry and having to deal with the dynamics of race and, for her, colorism, because she is so fair. So, I think they didn't talk to me, speaking to like the people they've worked with, colleagues, and the rest of my family. They've expressed to me that there was a shift, like a wave that happened when my dad came out. That was like, ooh, we want dark complexion people, so it was bad for my mom. And then with music videos came in, they wanted light skinned people, and then that was good for my mother. So it was just like this weird kind of like shifting balance that always kind of went based on the color of the people.
You're like trending.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's blue year.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
red. Wow.
So that was the thing that they had, that I think she felt more, because I think she was always conscious about how fair she was her entire life. And so I think she was more sensitive to it than my father. My father could care less. She's like, I don't care. I'm going to be in it. I don't care what you need. I don't care if you wanted somebody yellow or somebody blue. I'll be that. And he just did not care. But my mom had a very sensitivity to it, and I think that's what did not allow her to do everything that she really wanted to do. So that her acting, she always wanted to do that, and it took her until I think it was 2 years before she passed away to actually do something that she had the great desire to do.
And where did they grow up?
Mostly in New York, and then after high school they came out to LA.
Are you going to stay in LA?
I would love to live someplace else, but I think this is where I would have to be in order to do what I have to do. Once I get in, then I'll get a house, a couple houses, have one in Europe, have one in Brazil, why not, But no, I think LA's my home, yeah.
What do you mean by once I get in? I thought that was an interesting.
Once I get in, when I was reflecting back on what I said about how working in the industry is not my main source of income. Once it is my main source of income, then I will think about maybe relocating. But I do love LA. I mean, that's my home. Like, I moved out, I lived in Miami, I came back. I lived in England, I came back. I always seem to come back to LA. So that seems to be where my roots are and where I just feel comfortable.
And what's next for you, Liz Joelle?
No. After I'm done with this, get to put this away for a bit. I think I'm going to work on my next project, which is called The Zone. Sci-fi. Yeah, I don't like to stay restricted to a specific genre. I've realized Miri and I did a couple films called Drama. She's starring in it. Yeah. And that was about my experience at drama school whilst I was in England. It's really focusing on my second year, where they actually tried to kick me out of school because my English accent wasn't up to the par of the other English students that I was going to school with. That was fun. And she was actually playing she played a combination of the professors that were on my case about kicking me out. So she's like the bad guy. She was good at it.
I was good at being a bad guy.
Yes, she embodied it.
And then on YouTube? Can we find them on YouTube?
I actually have been trying to upload them to YouTube. I actually tried to do that this week. Felt like had a little bit of an issue. So yes, they will be. I will send you the information. You can pass it on out. Yes. Yes, definitely.
And tell us the name of the production so we know.
Oh, it's called Drama?
Yeah, Drama.
Drama series, and there's Act 1 and Act 2.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then they're out of sequence. So it starts with year 3, because it was a 3-year university I went to, so it starts with year 3, and then we just finished production on year 1/2. We actually finished that in February.
Was it February?
Yeah, February.
The rainstorm.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, and then the one that I submitted to for Disney is called, oh my gosh, gosh, what is it called?
I don't know what it's called.
I wasn't looking to you for that. It's a fairy tale. It takes place in there it is. Holly Tagic. It's a made-up world that I created, which is like a girl gets taken. It's kind of like The Wizard of Oz, but with fairy tale creatures. I really love mermaids and fairies. And then the next one is The Zone, and that's a sci-fi thing. So yeah, got a lot of different genres that I'm dabbling in. And then I want to write a musical too. So yeah.
When do we get to see you act? Because I met you as an actor.
Oh yeah.
And that was awesome. So when do we get to see you? When do we get to see you perform? Or where? Tell us where we can find you.
Well, this is kind of a test to see if I can make it through this. And I was thinking if this worked out, then maybe I might put this up somewhere else. So this might be up again next year. We'll see. Yeah. As far as acting, I mean, it's crazy. I always thought that was like my #1 goal in life, but if I create the work and then get to be in it, then that's a bonus. So I think I'm focusing on creating stuff first right now.
Any other questions or comments for Dia?
Well, thank you so much
you.
for being here.
It's nice to be exposed to stuff I never seen before. I love dance. I just don't, I'm on the fringe of it.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, and continue on enjoying the Fringe. I think the next performance in this space is at all the shows starting at 10:45. So there's here, and then there's Noble, and then there's meditation, and then at this evening at 7 there's a guitar pull. It's called guitar pull, and it's a circle. It's a circle of musicians, and they're all just going to sing songs and close out the evening with that. And that'll be in Noble Hall. And maybe you can join us and sing for us.
Mary, what's your show?
I'm sorry?
What's your show?
My show,